I'm good. Can't complain at all.
Good. So everything very good in South Carolina, mate?
Yeah, things are good. Can't complain at all, to be honest. It's not that bad in terms of the virus and things like that here as well. Things are starting to open up, restaurants, gyms, all that kind of stuff now. So something it's a good sign. It's positive.
It sounds positive, and we're doing the same over here, Coach. You know, we've got a little bit of momentum going. Kids going back to school. My kids are going back to school full time shortly, so that's a good thing.
That's good. It's good. Yeah.
And, on top of it, we've started the training with groups of 10. So it's nice to see the parks filled with kids out there with the ball at their feet, especially down here in our local suburb, mate. But look, I'm stoked to have you on board. I know it was kind of last minute, and I kind of threw it out at you pretty quickly. I said, mate, you're on. That's it. We're going live the next morning. So I'm very, very thankful to have you on board. Just the order for the day, Coach. I'm just going to announce it to viewers as they jump on board. But basically, one and all, United Nation, very, very glad to have Coach Michael Antoniewicz. Hope I got that right.
Yeah, close. You got it right.
Beautiful. Coach Michael Antoniewicz is the head coach at Coker University in South Carolina, NCAA Division II in the very, very powerful SAC conference. I'm really, really excited to talk about the SAC conference. We've been getting a lot of traction there, Coach. Obviously, I had a chat with Newbury the other day. This is kind of a process for me to kind of understand the lay of the land across different governing bodies, different collegiate conferences and otherwise. It's always good to get, coaches who are at the top conferences across the US to, gauge their mind and get their thoughts and feedback about, the collegiate landscape. So very, very happy to have you on board. And United Nation, again, Coach Michael Antoniewicz from Coker University in South Carolina, NCAA Division II, SAC. So, Coach, I'm going to pick it off. I'm going to go through last year. You joined the program in 2018. And for those of you guys that don't know, and I'll give you some clarity, the SAC conference is, if you look at around about 24 conferences across NCAA Division II, it's probably ranked as probably one of the top conferences, top 2, top 3 conferences in the US. So I take those rankings, Coach, from Hero Sports typically, with the Bennett ranking. And I think they had the SAC roughly around about the second or third spot out of 24 conferences. So it's telling, and especially when I look at the way that you guys went through last year's season, all the games are very, very tight and very tightly contested. And that's probably testament to the fact that from top to toe, it is very much a grind, in terms of the competition that you face on a weekly basis as you go through conference play. But, you're looking at teams like top 25, you have Wingate, you have a whole bunch of, nationally ranked top 25 teams. If I look at it, it was a good start in September, October. There was some losses on the trot, but then you really bounced back in November with some straight wins, and then obviously got into the SAC semis and quarters. Do you want to talk about a little bit more about the conference, play last year, how you guys fared, and what's in store for Coker for next year and beyond?
Yeah, no, it was definitely, for first year being a head coach, it was definitely something that was a baptism of fire, being in a conference that strong. Every coach kind of describes it as every game's a cup final. And that's the seriousness of that game, of every game. It means so much because anyone can beat anyone on the day. There's all the coaches across the board are high-level coaches that I have a huge amount of respect for. and the programs that they have is fantastic. And I think there was about 4 or 5 of the teams this year, including ourselves, were ranked at the top 25 in the country at one point. And in one conference as a whole, that just shows you that is super, super tough. We were really happy with year one. As a program, we were able to turn a few heads. We were able to upset a few people in terms of our results, and it was something we're really happy with year one. We brought in a lot of new players, tried to bring a new style of play, a new vision and goals and culture to the program, and the boys did fantastic this year in terms of buying into that. We were able to get some massive wins against Lander, who are a national ranked program. We were able to beat some other good programs like Lincoln Memorial as well, Anderson, Carson Newman in the quarterfinals. It was definitely a very, very good season for year one, and our goal is just to build on that and try and take that to the next level next year. But very, very happy with year one and what we achieved, especially from years in the past. The last 4 or 5 years, success and wins have been few and far between. So for us this year to make that step in the right direction is something we're very, very proud of and very excited to get the season kick-started for fall 2020.
What do you think makes the SAC such a strong conference? What are the dynamics that go into the SAC that makes it so, I guess, tough on the national landscape, and in terms of the fact that you have so many nationally ranked teams in and out of the top 25 or otherwise? What do you think are the dynamics that go into play there?
I think the geographic of the league, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, they're sunnier, warm weather. You're going to attract better players because of that. It's definitely going to be a reason why. And there's just a rich history with a lot of these programs. You talk about programs like Wingate, Carson Newman. They've been either winning national championships or been in national championship finals. Lenore Ryan, and numerous teams that have been spoken in the same sentence as your other top Division II programs across the country. And it's not just every so often you hear them, it's a consistent basis, and it's always coming out of the SAC. And with Limestone, who's another fantastic program, they're joining our conference this year just to make it even harder. Another national ranked program.
Which program?
Limestone.
Oh, Limestone's joining the NCAA. Okay.
Yeah, which is another program that's usually in the Sweet 16, the Elite 8 of the national tournament as well. There's just great coaches and the players that can be attracted to these programs. You see players from all around the world who come from fantastic academy backgrounds, and a lot of players have gone on to play pro out of this conference, playing at the USL level overseas. It's a very, very good pathway for players that have that ambition to want to play at the next level. There's probably some Division II conferences where you can have that pathway, and this is certainly one of the best for sure. It's the coaching staff that's around, the quality of players that attracts, the geographic of it, just a whole. That's what makes the SAC so strong in terms of every game. Like I said, it is a cup final, and the quality of the play week in, week out, even though, like everyone knows, the college season is so tight and compact. You're playing so many games in a very short amount of time, but the level and the intensity of every single game, it just means so much because anyone can beat anyone on the day. And we can't hurt each other because a lot of our teams, if we weren't all playing against each other, our records might be in a little bit better shape, but we all beat up on each other. It's definitely a superb conference to be a part of, and I enjoyed every minute of it in my first year, and I can't wait to get started again for this fall.
I'm excited for you, Coach, and obviously, it's been one of those things where you look at a young coach coming into a program and building a base again and trying to compete at the national stage as well, right? So I think hats off to you in a great first couple of seasons there, and I'm excited for 2020 and beyond. Let's take this step back. I want to get to know a little bit more about a young Michael, and obviously the accent is quite telling. I'm assuming that's is it Glaswegian? Are you from?
No, I'm from Fife. From Fife. It's about an hour away from Glasgow. From a village that was about 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from St Andrews.
Wow, okay. And you grew up in the system. You want to talk about a little bit about, you growing up playing footy in Scotland, and, just a little bit more about how you came up and maybe some of the clubs and some of the dynamics that influenced you, and then how that transitioned back into, I'm assuming, a player in the collegiate ranks. I think you played at an NAIA program in McConnell.
Yeah.
Obviously a nationally ranked program. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about, how you came up, where you played, and your transition over as an international student athlete into the collegiate system in the US.
Yeah, no, it was funny. I didn't really start playing competitively myself till I always loved football, soccer. I'm a big Celtic fan. I've tried to go to all the games and all that stuff. So I'm definitely 9 in a row. Very happy with very happy with the last couple of days. But no, we were. There. Fortunately, it didn't work out, but I was able to play at a good level, county level wise, in terms of got to represent our county, travel to a few different European countries, which was a great experience for myself, and we're able to win a couple of tournaments, some championships, some league championships. Was a centre midfielder, centre back. Played it very simple, 5-10 yard passes, break up the play and give it to the skillful players. That was my job. And I enjoyed it, and was able to, once I started to figure out that, okay, that pathway of that dream that everyone wants to have of being in those academy systems and getting that contract wasn't really going to work out for myself. And I was able to get connected with a person called Joe McLaughlin from Soccer Icon USA. They're no longer around, but he was a former, he played for Chelsea, Kilmarnock. He had a good little career. And I had a few showcase games with him, had my game film taken, blasted around, and was able to get a good offer from Trent McConnell up in North Georgia, and I had a fantastic experience there. It took me a while in terms of getting adapted to the American game myself, in terms of the speed of play, the athleticism, and by my sophomore year I was able to start being more consistent member in the starting lineup. And then went on to my senior year. Senior year, we had the best year the program had till that date. We were able to be receiving votes, be nationally ranked, upset a lot of nationally ranked programs as well that year, and had a great experience as a whole in Georgia. And it came to the point where it was beginning of my senior year, I didn't really know what I wanted to do myself. And I had a really good relationship with our new head coach that came in my senior year. Rob Miller was his name. And we built a good relationship, and near the end of the season, the assistant we had at the time was going to get a new job to take another assistant position elsewhere. And the opportunity came around for me to be the assistant coach. I was captain my senior year as well. So we had that good connection, and that was that. I'm very grateful for that opportunity, because I was probably going to go back home to Scotland and probably not have the experiences that I've been having the last few years, being able to be a coach. And I had a great experience. Soccer was fantastic in terms of the playing aspect, but I really found a love for coaching as soon as that opportunity came about, and it was something I grasped right away and knew that this wanted to be my future.
There's a lot of coaches that hail from Scotland that I obviously worked alongside, and guys like Johnny Clifford down at St. Mary's in Texas, and a whole bunch of different guys out there. So it's interesting to see this transition, and I've been talking to a lot of the coaches on our weekly sessions here about, just the transition of a lot of these European coaches coming to the collegiate market, who are now going through that full circle of, plying their trade in the collegiate game in the US, gaining their degrees and their education, and then filtering back into the system and really turning around a lot of programs and making them even more competitive. Do you see that as a trend and as the norm? You see a lot more kind of foreign coaches coming in. Obviously, if I go back in time when I was recruited, it was, you recruit out your backyard.
Yeah.
So now it's become a lot more of an international kind of scope. But then at the same time too, that means that the quality and the calibre of the kids that are coming into the system are making it extremely competitive. So what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, no, there's definitely a wide range of coaching staff from all across the country, all across the world. And the really cool thing is you can really, I noticed that when I was a player, the different coaches that you go up against, the styles of teams that you go up against as well. If you have South American coaches and they're recruiting their South American players, you can see that little, the trend against another coach that might be English, and he plays that hard English way, and it's a good contrast in styles of play. And no, there's a wide range of really, really good coaches from all across the world. And it's great to see, because like everyone says, soccer is one of very few sports that can get connected with people from all around the world. And the coaching tree and networking around here, we're all in it together. We all help each other out, and the conversations and relationships that you make are fantastic. People that end up being references on resumes and all these different kind of things for you is fantastic. And it's definitely the level of coaching is what's taken the places like the SAC to the next level. And like I said earlier, the coaching staff in our league are fantastic. I have a lot of respect for that I look up to, and there's a lot of very experienced coaches that have been doing it successfully for years, and a lot of programs now are wanting to be successful. So there's pressure, and there's a good correlation between the professional game and the college game now, whereas if you're not pulling your weight around and you're not getting the results, then it's going to be something that conversations will need to be had, and that's the great thing about it, is people want to win is becoming a lot more of that professional setup, which is why I think it's attracting so many people from all around the world to be in that environment and coach in that environment.
It's interesting that you say that. I've travelled kind of far and wide across the US and met a lot of coaches from top to toe, and you do see such a great array of coaches from different countries, and then they're obviously bringing their own influences, and not to mention, there are still some great American coaches out there, and they built the platform for a lot of international students to be able to come into the system many years ago, because they saw the strength of the players that were coming through from European academies, South American academies, and priced them with a great education and great experience in the US market. So, you see this. It's interesting that you also say that everyone kind of knows one another, and that's my network has been built, and how I built the company was mostly around the fact that this coach knows that coach, you do a good job for this coach, and then there's a lot of cross-referencing there, but everyone knows everyone, right? So it's exactly an interesting dynamic, but great that you mentioned that. So, Coach, there were a few things that I wanted to cover off with you. You did spend some time at the MLSDA with a fantastic, obviously, set-up in Atlanta United. In terms of the kids that you were developing there in the academy level at that point in time, I know that there's been a shake-up in the DA landscape, but can you give us some kind of clarity as to, I guess, the kids that you interacted and worked with at the DA level? How did you prep them, and how did they transition from that level into the collegiate level? How was that intertwined in an MLS kind of DA type setup in the academy?
Yeah, no, it was a fantastic experience. It was definitely something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. It was about 6-7 months I was there for. And very fortunate to get involved, and it was funny. I had an interview for it, and it was actually initially to be the head coach of the under-16s of Atlanta United. And my first interview got to talk to a few of the coaching staff and the academy director. And my first session interview was to run a session for the under-19s, the DA. So these kids are the ones that are potentially going Division 1, going pro, and that training, I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest, and they were fantastic. Brilliant. The athleticism, the speed of play, the technical ability. I was very, very surprised in a really good way about how good they were. I was trying to figure out coaching points for them. It was good. I really, really enjoyed it, and it was the facilities and everything they have is fantastic. They're set up to be successful. There's no reason with everything they have. Facilities and the pitches, everything was brilliant. And I spent most of my time dealing with the younger kids, and the talent that's going to come through Atlanta and probably the US when they're 11, 12-year-old is scary. So they're checking their shoulder before they receive the ball, popping the ball around. It's really, really fun to watch. And just the whole professional setup, they're really invested in every age group, and the amount of time and professionalism, and they teach them the right things right from the start. So it was a great experience that I had, and I got to go there once, twice a week, at times, and drive to Atlanta, and just a lot of it was just learning. We got to sit back and learn, but create some session plans, be able to be there and see the boys make those steps up into the year groups. And with those relationships we kept at Atlanta United, our first pre-season game this year, we played at Atlanta United's under-19s at their training facility. So it was a great experience for our guys as well. So we took them over, stayed overnight in Atlanta, and we were able to play their under-19s. It was our first pre-season game, their second pre-season game. We tied 1-1. It was a fantastic game, but it was such a difference in styles of play. The under-19s were very athletic, very technical, had been training every day for a little bit longer than us, and we were a lot more of a physical kind of team. And it was good to see, because some of our boys are 22, 23 years old, like going up against 17-year-old seniors in high school. But they were fantastic. And a lot of these players do end up going to Division 1 and be able to get their education, some top Division 1s. I know Georgia Southern, Clemson, or Cup mid-major to top Division 1 schools. And they were a pleasure to watch, pleasure to see how the whole setup is done, and they're doing it right there. They're doing it right there, and as the future of American youth soccer is going to be very exciting, I think, with the talent that's coming through and these academies that they have, and they're really invested in them, and they're cutthroat. They're cutthroat, even with the 10, 11-year-olds, kids. If they're not good enough, they'll give them a couple of weeks and they'll say, see you later. So it kind of prepares these kids to, if you're staying in that system for a long time, you're definitely doing something right.
It's interesting that you say that, and look, I was privy to kind of growing up. I was 15 years of age when I was at Dinamo Zagreb in Croatia, and amongst a generation that, obviously went to World Cups and, played and trained alongside guys like Igor Bišćan, who played for Liverpool and otherwise. And that experience, I mean, it was cutthroat for me. I grew up in what they called the National Soccer League back then, and the teams were very ethnically based. So whether you were a Sydney Olympic, Greek team, Sydney United, or Sydney Croatia, Marconi, an Italian club, all those kinds of teams read a very, very strong style of footballer, but at the same time too, it was cutthroat. I thought so. But when I went to Europe, it was a different level altogether. So it's interesting that there's been this transition even into the US game, right? So, and the growth and the evolution of the pro game. Now, with your experience with these kids at Atlanta United, and mind you, one and all, if you just joined us, we have Coach Michael Antoniewicz, who's the head coach of Coca University, NCAA Division 2, in the very, very powerful SAC conference. So we were talking about, your time at Atlanta United and the academy set up there. You were talking about the infrastructure as well. I remember seeing some of the stadium shots and otherwise amazing infrastructure and facilities. So there's a lot of money being pumped in to a lot of these franchises, and that's happening right across, whether it be MLS. I spent time out in Texas at San Antonio FC, and even their infrastructure. and what they had in store. So there's a lot of money being floated about, and that allows for academy setups and academy structures to really be at a world-class level. So it's interesting that you did that you interacted with that kind of player. But if you see those kids that came up through the academy, pardon me, at Atlanta United, did you see that there was more of a transition of these kids jumping into the collegiate ranks as opposed directly into the pro ranks? And how many kids actually got that opportunity to go directly into the pros? Because the way I see it, I always say it's 1%. 1 to 2% get that opportunity to go directly into pro. You've got to be something really special at a young age to be able to do that. So was it really acting as a platform for those kids to be able to go straight into a top tier college? Or were you seeing that there were a lot of kids that were also getting a shot at pros? And what would you recommend as a coach with these kids who might be playing at an elite level? And I'm talking about kids anywhere around the globe. Would you recommend that if they had the chance and the opportunity to get an opportunity to go play pro versus, going into the collegiate rank? I always get asked this question, especially with our male clients, especially coming out of some of the top tier environments here in Australia, at least in different parts of the world. They're kind of in these A-League, Youth League type setups, and they're like, I still want to go down that pathway, but then they hear about the collegiate market and they get a little bit confused about what it means to actually jump into college market in the US. So with your experience with the kids at Atlanta United, what would you have seen in terms of, and recommended in terms of, okay, you got a shot potentially to go pro, but you also have a shot to go college. What would you recommend for a lot of these kids?
I think from what I saw at Atlanta United and in the US in general, all these developmental academies, the top academies, a lot of them are preparing them for that top Division 1 level. I mean, it's something that I would definitely highly recommend going to the college level. It prepares you physically, mentally. It's got a professional setup for you, and there's pathways, and you see it. And there's more and more leagues, especially in the US, to get that down that professional route as well. For us at Coker, we had one player this year who was first team all conference, first team all region. The first time Atlanta United had a tryout for their second team, so they have a Atlanta United 2, which play in the USL, the US Second Division, and they had a 30-man tryout. One of our players was one out of 30 players in the country to get invited to that. And that was as a Division 2 player for the second team of the MLS champions. So there's definitely pathways 100% at the college level. And getting that education is so important. It's always great to have that fallback, and you're being able to have the exposure if you're at the right college level to be able to prepare yourself and get into the vision of these professional clubs and scouts. And plus, you're getting an education at the same time. So if it doesn't work out, if an injury, what happens? You have the balance of the two, and that was the biggest thing. And it makes the parents happy as well. The parents want to hear that, to have that balance of the two. So when you finish in 3 or 4 years, you can have a degree and be a professional soccer player. And if this professional soccer player doesn't work out, then you have that fallback to have a degree, which is fantastic. So America do it right. They have that fantastic pathway for players to be able to do it. And there's been, like I said, in Division 2, any eye level, a lot of Division 1 levels, a lot of players are going to play on at the next level, not just in the US, even going back into Europe or in South America. There's a lot of different companies and agencies that help players, not just in the US, to find their right fit professionally, but also around the world as well. And the level in the US is a very high level. It's something that's getting better. It's continued to get better at the Division 2, NAIA, Division 1 level, junior college level, and some Division 3 as well. All across the board, you just have to find the right fit for you to help you get yourself to that next level. And there is a fit for everyone. There's a team for everyone. But if you can find yourself, if you're coming from that top academy background and you're tinkering with the idea of where to go professional or not, or you have the opportunity of maybe a 1-year contract or something like that, that 1-year contract doesn't mean anything. You can get that 1-year contract, and then that could keep taking you to next levels. Or you can get that 1-year contract, you've signed professional, you're going to stop yourself from going to America with all the rules and regulations, or you can be able to get a degree at the same time and go on to play at the next level after. It's definitely a very good pathway that I would definitely recommend for anyone that has that thought or desire to want to go to play at the next level.
Yeah, I'm seeing more and more of that. Obviously we've had, hundreds of kids over the last decade go through our process and, go on to graduate. But then, there have been, kids, especially over the last several years, I've seen a lot of our kids get opportunities. Some of the Aussie lads getting some opportunities to go on pro trials with USL Championship type sides and, playing the summer leagues. A lot of kids just don't understand the benefit and the impact if you're in a really good setup and a great franchise, say in NPSL or the USL 2. You're going to have a great platform to be able to be looked at by either USL Championship club or even, if you're lucky, an MLS franchise as well. So a lot of our kids, not only just the guys, I'm talking about the girls and the women game as well. They're a great setups for a lot of these players. If they are of that level, they can really build a platform for themselves to be looked at by, professional scouts at a top level. And it's happening across divisions, like you said. Obviously we had Lance Key out. Lance, the coach of Louisiana Lafayette in Division 1 on the women's side. And Lance was a great testament to many years back being the first NCAA Division 3 player to be recruited by an MLS franchise back then. But that's becoming a lot more prevalent. Even if you look at setups where he hailed from in Trinity in Texas, it's always been a historical D3 team. But you see that, kids from there are going and signing pro contracts, down the road with San Antonio FC and proliferating out into different pro setups across the US. So it's becoming a lot more prevalent. There's a lot more layers. There's a lot more structure, a lot more investment going into that middle tier, especially the semi-pro ranks, especially with the franchises that we deal with directly. And, it's exciting because a lot of kids go, well, I have to go to Division 1 to go pro. And it's not the case anymore. The MLS draft, from what I understand from the coaches that I interact with, is becoming less and less relevant. And you're seeing a lot more kids coming through, say, from the SAC, from top conferences across D2, in the NAIA, especially as well. D3 schools every now and then, and obviously from your D1 schools now getting opportunities right across the landscape because infrastructure, resources, the amount of money and funding that goes into not only a collegiate level but then at the pro level in the US currently is just tremendous. Kids won't be able to get that kind of experience anywhere in the world. So it's great that we touched on that, Coach. I think you spent time as an NAIA student athlete, and a lot of kids get confused when they're going through this process. They say, well, NAIA, I don't really know what that is. I don't know what that level is. For me, I always give them the breakdown that an NAIA school in terms of structure and infrastructure is probably more aligned with the NCAA Division 2 setup in terms of size and otherwise. The level is right up there. We had two of our boys, one, again, God rest his soul, tragically passed away at the tail end of last year, but two of them had won a national championship with Hastings in Nebraska. They were standout players for that historical NAIA program, the GPAC, and had guys who played for Midland, top 25 programs, and the level is right up there. Not to mention some of the girls who are now currently in top 25 setups at Central Methodist and Martin Methodist and William Carey and otherwise. So there's a lot of really, really good NAIA setups. You see a lot of foreign students, especially from England, who end up in the NAIA simply for the fact that the rulings and otherwise are a lot different than the NCAA. So I always recommend to these kids, never negate it. It really is a very, very good setup. But from your experience playing there and now being a NCAA Division II coach at, an elite program in the SAC, how do they stack up? NAIA versus Division II. What's your opinion around it?
Yeah, both levels were fantastic. They're different, and it's been, I feel like, in terms of leagues as a whole, you'll find splattering the top NAIA programs can compete with the top Division II programs 100%. If you put a tournament with the top 25 NAIA, the top 25 Division II, you mix them up in like a Champions League group stage or something like that, it'd be fantastic. See, you couldn't say, okay, that's NAIA, that's the Division II team in terms of quality or anything like that. It's definitely both are high levels. Both are high levels. NAIA, you can attract a little bit more of the older kind of player, the older mature kind of player. At the NAIA level, just the difference in some of the rules and stuff like that as well. But the Division II level, I think in terms of even conferences alone, they're going to be different styles and different levels that you can compare it to. My jump from the NAIA level at the Appalachian Athletic Conference to the Division II level in the SAC, I think the SAC, the SAC, can sometimes compare to some some mid-major Division I conferences and be better than that in terms of a whole from top to bottom. But some of the top 3-4 teams at the AAC level, at the NAIA level, can come in and compete in the SAC. So it's definitely something that both levels were fantastic. Different styles. I felt the Division II game was a little bit more physical. The NAIA was a little bit more technical. Not to say that the Division II side isn't as technical, but the physical side of the game plays more of a part in terms of the size and the style of play that's needed to be successful at Division II level. But both levels are fantastic. I've seen players go and play professional on both levels. And the style of plays are both fun to watch, fun to be a part of. And just the levels were both fantastic. They're both fantastic. Some of the players that I was even able to coach, we were competing against Division II, some Division I schools for some of the players that we did have at my NAIA school, and we were winning those battles. We were able to attract those players, and they had a great experience, and they've gone on to do some great things in the game. And for other people in the same Division II level, we're being some Division I schools for players. So that whole idea of Division I's the best, and then it's Division II, Division III, NAIA, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in the JUCO level as well. You see some JUCO teams that go on and they have players that then go on and transfer to the best NAIA, to the best Division II, the best Division I, and they can all have pro pathways out of that as well. So it doesn't matter what part that you have, what level you're playing at. If you find the right level for you, you can be very successful and have that pathway of going to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a lot of our kids take advantage of, again, the semi-pro levels to be able to, create a pathway for themselves to potentially the pro level. So I say the same thing, and it's good that you amplify that these kids understand, especially our prospects who jump on board, that, that there is truly an opportunity to play across divisions, if you find the right fit, that it will give you the experience of gaining your reputation for playing at a top level, but then also give you a platform to be looked at by, pro clubs, whether it be initially semi-pro or even directly at a pro level across the championship, wherever it's or otherwise. So it's good that you touched on that. I'm going to ask you the question. Obviously, playing in the FBC, we talked about it initially. You've taken over a program. Obviously, it's probably one of the best conferences out there in the US landscape. how are you preparing your players, whether it be mentally or physically? What's a day in the life, and how do you go about prepping them to be competitive at national level?
Yeah, well, no, that's a great question. For us, we try to create as much of a professional setup as possible, and the mental aspect is so key. For it, I think the psychological part over the majority of any other thing in the day-to-day running of a program is so key. For us, we have an open door policy in our office for kids to come in. They go through a lot in terms of the classes, in terms of training, in terms of therapy, in terms of tests, all that kind of stuff. It goes in everyday basis, more than what a professional has to go through, because they've got the academics and moving to a different country and all that to take into consideration. So for us, we try and give our players the best care, mentally and physically as possible, to make sure they're at the peak condition they can be to help us win games and compete for championships. For us, we want to make training every day competitive. Everything that we do, there's a winner, there's a loser. Every single day, we don't see the point in having just going through the motions and just doing it for the sake of doing it. We want to create winners. Everything is a competition in everything that we do. Controlled competition also. We don't want the guys to go out of control, but it's a controlled competition in everything that we do, and we want to create winners in whatever they want to do. Some players have that aspiration of wanting to come out to the US and get that degree and be able to utilise their fantastic soccer skills that they have. But maybe they want to go and own a business. Maybe they want to be a psychologist. And our goal is not just to write X's and O's on the board and to move cones around. Our goal, our program is what we want our players, when they walk across that stage 4 years later, is for us to make sure that they're going to be as successful as possible in whatever they want to do. And that's something we take a lot of pride in. So we hold our players to a certain standard, pursue excellence and all that we want to do every day, and keep them accountable and keep each other accountable at the same time. And that's something we take a lot of pride in. And when it comes to, like I explained with the SAC, every game is a cup final. It's so tough. There's no games that you're going to win 5-6. Now, I'm sure a lot of people that are watching are going to watch it. There's probably teams that you've seen on your league later down in the calendar. You can already mark it off and say, okay, that's going to be an easy win. And you can't write anyone off. And for us as a whole, like we had Anderson that we lost to in the semi-final of in the regular season. We beat them 4-1, and they outshot us. They outshot us in the game, but we were very good in transition. We were able to utilize our game plan fantastically. They did brilliant. And for a mental aspect for those guys, it's so hard to beat the same team twice, and especially a good team at that as well. So it's a lot of mental preparation and trying to prepare our guys to be successful as possible every single day, and keeping them accountable and making sure that they're reaching their potential and challenging them every single day. And that's something that we want to do on a daily basis for our guys.
Yeah. Sounds like you're creating a really good platform for these kids to be able to succeed and obviously compete at a very high level, so it's great that you covered that off. A few questions from some of our Uniting Nation out there. One of which was COVID-19 obviously impacted the globe on a massive scale, and otherwise, how's that affected your current recruiting cycles, whether it be for the conference and just nationally across the national landscape? How's it affecting either yourselves and what you see externally as well across the whole landscape in the US from a recruiting perspective?
Yeah, obviously it's not ideal, but I think with people like yourself who create platforms virtually and things like that, and doing it the right way, like yourself, I think it's something that helps us domestically. It has been tough. Domestically, obviously, we're not allowed to go out traveling. We can't watch games. We can't do anything. The recruiting restrictions are getting a little bit easier in terms of at the beginning of June we can host some camps, different things like that at the schools, each institution's discretion. But with that being said, there has its challenges. But I feel like the virtual platforms that are there created by companies like yourself internationally has been has made our jobs easier. It's still been tough. Obviously, there's a lot of the unknown. What's going to happen? Is it going to happen? But for us, we're preparing like everyone's going to come in August, and the season's going to go ahead. Also, the season's being announced. It's going to be a little bit more condensed. I think instead of 18 games, it's been down to now 14 games. So for us, that's something that the NCAA just announced for Division 2. I think each division is going to be different, I think. But for us, we just announced that a couple of days ago. So in terms of scheduling and things like that, we're having to move it. But for us, I think as long as the student athlete themselves are committed, as long as they're driven and they're not going with all the distraction and everything that's going on, and they're focused on being here in the fall, then I don't foresee it being that much of an issue either.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting landscape because I know obviously places like California. I was talking with one of our coaches in our network yesterday in Cali, and they were saying that obviously, at a D2 level, CCAA was, basically shut down, and, there's been a bit of an uproar across the whole division. For example, the whole conference for them to be able to get it up and running as soon as possible. So, I mean, there's pockets of it, but it's great to hear that you guys have the momentum over there and it hasn't really affected outside of the, shifting and changing, some of the dynamics around how you're going to go about the season. So it's great to hear, because obviously we have questions from our own prospects saying, hey, COVID-19, am I actually going to be able to play the season or otherwise? But I see that being slowly but surely, so it's good that you clarified that. We'll take one more question, Coach, from one of our viewers here. The last would be, you were an international student at one point. You deal day in, day out with international students from all around the planet come into your program. What is it from the perspective of an international student that they need to prepare, and what kind of advice could you give to an international student who looks at transitioning into the collegiate market in the US and being successful in the collegiate market? What kind of advice could you give in terms of that, in other words?
Yeah, I think for every international is preparing yourself physically and mentally for it. It's obviously there's a lot of unknown. You're probably going over there yourself. You don't know anyone. All you've done is had a conversation with the coach, maybe the assistant. But with that being said, everyone's coming in the same boat as well. And there's a reason why you're getting recruited. There's a reason why there's offers out there. There's a reason why you're committed, because the coach wants you, and they want you because they've seen you at your best. So it's to prepare yourself physically and mentally like you are going to come in at your best. And if you have a chance to maybe speak to current players on the team, or if you know someone that's gone out to the US and maybe that's been successful, that's what they did. If you're going to come to a climate like South Carolina or Georgia or Florida, where you could be training in 90, 100 degree heats at times, it's tough. The humidity is maybe something you haven't noticed before. Being from Scotland, I've never even seen the sun before. So when I came over to Georgia, I was struggling. Yeah, exactly. Thanks to hear. Not from Scotland.
I was confused with the ducked on board. I thought, you look Scottish.
Exactly. I've been here too long. But no, I would use those tools and resources that you can have, and try not to go in unknown. Try and be knowledgeable about what you're going to come into. And the pre-season is going to be tough. You're going to be doing 2-a-days. Some coaches do 3-a-days. The fitness is going to be demanded, because for a college coach, for me, I don't want to be wasting my time watching you guys run. Every coach is different, but for me, I don't want to be wasting my time and just watching you guys do a 2-mile run or the beat test or something like that. I want you guys getting the ball at your feet, maybe some fitness incorporated stuff with the ball, but that can only happen if you guys are coming in good physical condition and coming in to be the best you can be. The college season is so short and demanding. It's 2.5 months, 3 months, depending how far you get in the postseason. You got to make it count, and if you're playing catch up and it takes you a month to get in, that means you only have 1.5 months left to play in. So the being physically and mentally prepared is something that I would definitely try and find a way to come in your best condition possible, and use the resources and tools that you can use to prepare yourself as best you can, because, like I said, the college experience is, if you make it, it'll be the best 4 years of your life. That's why I got into coaching, because one, I wasn't good enough to play pro, and two, I had the best experience I possibly could at my 4 years. That's why I want to stay into the college coaching. So my advice for you guys is make the most of it and come into the best condition possible, because especially if you want to hit the ground running and get all these accolades, like all conference, all American, all region, those players have got those accolades because they're working through the summer. It's not just a 3-month season, it's a 12-month process getting ready to be in the best condition possible and hit the ground running when you get there.
Words of wisdom from an amazing young coach, and we're very, very grateful, coach, to be able to be connected to yourself, and we're very much hoping that we can impact your program over the coming years, without doubt, and very excited about the season ahead for the girls, and obviously you're going to be getting up against a whole bunch of great coaches and people in the SAC. Very, very excited to see how that pans out post the COVID-19 world that we live in, and I think that I'm very, very excited to see what you guys achieve, and one and all, we'd like to thank Coach Michael Antoniewicz, who is the head men's soccer coach at Coker University, NCAA Division II, and a very, very strong SAC conference. Coach, you've been very grateful with your time. Very, very thankful to be able to gauge your experience and then share it out to the world across all our viewers and otherwise. So have a great day. Really, really appreciate your time. And one and all, just so you understand, this video will be up on, what I can see now, Instagram's changed some of the ways that they do things. It'll be up on our Instagram TV account. So you'll be able to view this for the next 24 hours or so, and then we're going to strip it